This is the Dabbsson 600L. And if you live in an apartment or if you're looking for your first emergency power station, you don't necessarily want the units that only are about 300 watts, capacity around 300 watt hours, but you're not ready to spend the bucks on a 1 kilowatt unit. Then my recommendation, bottom line up front, is if the price is right, go forth, make your purchase. You will be happy. Hey guys, Editor X here. All right, so I just got the final pricing information for the Dabbsson 600L. The release price is crazy good. Check the link in the description because for the release price, it's approximately $284 US. And you get a free bag that carries the unit. Those bags are normally between $60 and $100. So in essence, you're getting this thing for sub $200. But let's not think about it by subtracting the price of the bag. $284 for this unit divided by 768 watt hours makes this thing 37 cents a watt hour. It's destroying Blue Eddies. It's destroying the similar unit by EcoFlow, which is the River 2 Pro, which the cheapest I normally see that is around the $399 mark. If you're looking for something in an apartment complex or for your vehicle, you got a Sprinter van, a minivan, if you just want something on the go, like this unit makes more sense to spend the money than some of the 256 watt hour units that you're getting from EcoFlow, Blue Eddy, even from Dabbsson themselves. They're killing it. I don't know how y'all got to this price. I've been testing this thing for 3 months and I would buy one if they didn't send one to me. Okay, back to the video. I don't know what the price is on this. I've had this 3 months before the release. It's already released in Japan. I saw pricing in Japan at $279, which would make this thing 300 or 36 cents a watt hour, but I can't rely on that because it's not released in America yet. But I mean, this thing is fantastic, and I'm not trying to toot and blow it up too much, but I like it a lot. Okay, so I've checked out the EcoFlow River 2 Pro. This is directly competing with that. This thing is a 768 watt hour capacity, 600 watt output on the AC inverters, and it does a lot. Okay. Let's just talk about some things I don't like about it. The fans kick on relatively quickly, no matter what the load is. The fans aren't loud, but I'm not a big fan that I don't like any unit that if the unit does so many watts outputs, the fans just turn on no matter what. I want these units to turn the fans on to keep the unit from getting hot, but when it reaches a certain temperature, not just because it's outputting something specifically. I don't like that, okay? Secondly, I like the fact the build, I like how it's streamlined. This fits well in like minivans. It fits well on a beach. I've used this thing nudged into very weird places and all that good stuff. But I would say it's a little hollow up here. I wish they fortify this a little bit more so you could stand on it or stack more stuff on top of it. I did feel a little bit leery. There was times, I mean, you're on the beach, you're trying to reach the very top of a tent pole. You are trying to unload a vehicle or minivan or whatever. You reflexively want to step on this. It looks like a damn step stool, but you should not do that because it is not that. And I wish we could have got one more plug in the AC inverter. 2 plugs is good, but one more would have been good, especially this thing can put out 600 watts. 2 just seems like it's just a little bit not enough. And speaking of the user interface of the in and outputs, it does have a decent screen. It's a little bit dim, but it does work for you being able to see what's going on with the unit from across a room or whatever. But in the sun, it's a little bit difficult to see the screen. Those are my negatives. Let's talk about the positives. You do get a USB-C, 2 USB-C ports. One can do 100 watts output. The other one can do 30 watt output. That's enough. 30 watts is easily enough to do any of your tablets or cell phones. 100 watts is plenty enough to boost or power most laptops. Then you get 2 of the USB-A ports. Both of these are 3 amps, which means they're going to be able to pump out around 18 watts. That's pretty good. You also get a barrel plug, which is important to me for YouTube purposes, but you also use this for an immersion heater. You can use this for an electric blanket. Any of those that have a converter that you don't have to use the DC port, you can use a barrel port for. It also includes the DC port, which it runs at 10 amps. Which is good for all those items I just mentioned or anything else that can run off a DC port. You get a light, which is a usable light. This is one of those use cases where because they shape the light in a barrel formation instead of a long bar. You can actually use this light to point at objects. So if you're trying to use this I use this to dump my pool, to use a sump pump on my pool, and I'm trying to unplug that at night, I can turn this light on and actually use it, and it's very, very functional. So very clean on the front, very easy to use. I like that we get 2 USB-Cs. So you see the fan input here. Export on the fan is on the very, very back. So very clean. The rear of the unit itself is very streamlined. You do have the AC input, and then you have the XT60 port, which can do up to 200 watts on a solar panel. All my solar panels output more than that. I do have some like 40-watt solar panels, but it was kind of laughable to even use that for this unit. I'm assuming the solar input functionalities are going to work just fine. Let's talk about some testing. The AC drain test is where I plug up a unit in the very front of this, and I drain this over the number of course of hours, and sometimes I'll drain it over the course of minutes, depending on how fast I want to do it. The worst test I got of the AC drain test was 83%. So this thing has a capacity of 768 watt hours. The worst test I got was 642 watt hours used, meaning that this unit itself used the rest of the power to power that fan that we talked about. So that's pretty good. For these type of units, I expect for them to get at least 80% or more, especially when they're brand new. It is using LiPo4 batteries, meaning the newer LiPo4 batteries should get you 3,000 full recharges before they're even at 80%. Meaning if you buy this type of unit, you should be able to use it for 10 years before the batteries go down to 80%. That's pretty good. DC drain test is when I hook up into this port here and I drain the unit using a DC test machine. The worst test that I got out of that was 653 watt hours consumed out of 768. That's 85%. Both of those tests did better than the EcoFlow competitor. So this thing, at least the Japan pricing, less than the EcoFlow, better results than the EcoFlow. I like that. EcoFlow does have more plugs on the front, and oftentimes EcoFlow, the sales price can compete with this, and EcoFlow has a lot more accessories. The app is better. That's, a lot of things to think about. Speaking of the app, this thing does have a actually pretty good app. It's not as good as the EcoFlow. EcoFlow does a few more things, but this app is pretty good. You can set these ports to turn on and off when you want to. You can force it to only charge itself at a certain time at night. So, we are currently with a new electricity provider where if we use electricity after a certain time, electricity is free. So most of these power stations I set to charge themselves after midnight because power is free. This thing can do that using the app. I like stuff like that. AC output is 600 watts, but organically it can go up to 1200 watts for a boost. So anything with a compressor, so like a refrigerator, a freezer, something like that, when you plug it up for the first time, maybe it runs at 300 watts, but it may jump up to 700, 800, 900 watts when you first turn it on, maybe a kettle or something like that at your camp. So if this thing jumps over those watts, it can handle it, and it will bring itself down and run relatively well. So I like that. So this thing is relatively small. I like that it has very small branding. So on the side here, it does have Dabbsson 600L. And then that's it. It has the logo on the top. It has a bunch of QR codes on the top so you can download their app. And that's relatively it. There's not a lot to talk about these units. But one thing I will say about these units themselves is I believe you should have a power station, not just for emergency situations. If you run a business, let's say you run like a post office type of business and you want to keep your machines running when the strip mall loses power, get a unit like this. If you live in an apartment, the apartment complex loses power, you want to be able to continue to run Wi-Fi or to properly shut down a computer, get a unit like this. This thing does have a 10 millisecond response time when it comes to the UPS feature. A lot of these units now are coming with uninterruptible power supply or emergency power supply features, and this is one of those units as well. I've tested this out. Plug something in the front, plug this to AC power, rip out the AC power. This thing will keep those items running. So if you want to run a CPAP machine while you're on the beach, you want to run this in an RV to keep some stuff that's very important going, this will do it. The Dabbsson 600L. The thing that's going to be its arch nemesis is going to be tariffs. I'm filming this in May of 2025. It was supposed to release in late April. It didn't release. They're hoping to release this in late May. So I'm just going to film the video now, and I'm going to try to actually release the video on release day. But if the tariffs are not able, if they're not able to get a good stock of these in the United States, they're not going to be able to sell these easily in the States without raising the price. So a lot of these companies, what they'll do is they'll ship a lot of these over. They'll keep a big stock with Amazon, or they'll keep a bunch in their own warehouse. And when you order, they're just literally shipping them from somewhere in the States versus you having to wait for this thing to come from China. I definitely can see me using this. The big limitations, as mentioned earlier, are only 2 AC. But other than that, I was not disappointed at all. I've been using this for a couple months, and this is my go-to grab and go, take to the cheerleading, take to the t-ball practice, take wherever, because I don't know how much power I may need. Comment down below, smash or pass. S for smash, P for pass for the Dabbsson 600L. I'm loving what these companies are doing with these little things. Hopefully we keep getting innovation and we keep getting lower cost per watt hour out of these units. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.